Sup, Chaos72 here for another Chaos Story review. Today taking a look at GC09, Kamen Rider Necrom. The third rider for Kamen Rider Ghost. And unlike the previous three figures, actually has some major differences. One being he's got a giant gauntlet piece, which I have slightly painted in just to kind of give it a little bit of detail. Different eye or head sculpt there a little bit. It has a nice eye with some designs to kind of fit in with his goggle theme, and is more of a white figure, since for some reason Kamen Rider seems to kind of favor having white riders involved, and specifically under the title White Rider. Not really sure why, but it's a thing. But has all the articulation, but is hindered obviously by the parka, depending on how you look at it. But you get swivels, hips, ball joint ankles, knee, 360 arm, in and out, bicep swivel, elbow, and wrist, and the two finger thing. So nothing new there, and there is a bit of clear plastic, and it's right here in the chest. Kind of makes it stand out a little bit, which I do appreciate. And no driver, obviously, but stands just the same, and does have some nice metallic green throughout the figure. Now, if someone can tell me... no, I thought I had a question, but no, not really. Oh yeah, the question is what's up with this? Is there like a pun I'm not getting, besides, his thing is mega clarity and stuff like that. But here we have the Necrom parka. Now you're going to notice it is like the Tokon boost, where the hood is movable. We'll get over if that looks decent on the figure or not in a second. But you got swivel, so you can have them, flying off, stuff like that. And if you're wondering, yes, he's doing the hero time pose in the thumbnail. And we have a very sort of digital sort of coat tail thing. Same as here. It's very squared off, so to speak, with some holes. Not really sure why his clothes are holy like that, but I don't know. So we get him ready for parka. Just swing these up, and they're just kind of held in by friction up here and just the friction of that joint. Move this up, and again, if someone can explain to me why he has this, like if it relates to his pun, please do. I'm legitimately curious. And like every other parka, you put it on. Make sure it's plugged in on both sides. Tengan Necrom Omega Road. Here we have the base figure for Kamen Rider Necrom. Now, I'm not sure if it's just because these seem to protrude a lot farther off his shoulders. One moment. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so not sure why they made this extend somewhat off of his shoulders, because unlike Ghost, Ore, and Spectre, or just Spectre in general at this point, his arms aren't the same color as the sleeves. So they kind of stand out, especially when you have green. Now, one thing I kind of am doing is just kind of have them leaning forward a bit so it just kind of meshes well. Because it's not like it improves anything. Like, they're a little too high. And I get why being too high, because, it'll intrude on this thing. Might make the plastic a bit weaker, but I don't understand why they needed to put them on such a long stem. I mean, you can even see It's very protruding. Now, you do have the same level of articulation, like all of them. I mean, nothing is really hindered if you move things out of the way. But then you get into sort of his signature pose, much like a wizard pose, and you break the appearance. And you can, I did it earlier, you can pop this out, and this does look fine on its own. In fact, I've been kind of up in the air on displaying it like this, since you can kind of live with that out of the way. Now you could technically remove this, but the whole assembly is kind of weird, so it might not work best for everyone. But because it kind of sits a little closer to the face, at least in appearance, since there's an actual like defined face region, it does look a little bit nicer compared to the others. And because his face is defined, you know, it doesn't look as bad, since I noticed the major thing with, I'll just kind of show it off here, is the silver lining on the, we'll say the base form icons like boost and stuff, where, especially on boost, where you could put the hoodie down, but this isn't colored in silver where it is on the suit, so it still kind of stands out, and you can clearly tell that there's more to it. Now, if you look at Necrom straight on, you don't really notice it. In fact, you kind of bend his head down a little bit. Kind of, you don't really notice it as much. I mean, it just kind of looks like the rest of his helmet. So there is that. Now, one kind of pose I tend to do with him, or that I seem to be doing with him, is kind of like he's activating the, or just activated the Mega U loader, whatever it's pronounced. Something like this, and it looks fine. I'm just waiting for Sanzo GC release, and that's probably where he's going to default in, so to speak, in my display. Now, you may be asking, oh, and in this pose, it really doesn't break the appearance too much, because it kind of plays to the limitations of the hoodie. Kind of makes even the arms stand out a bit. So, there is that. Now, you may be asking, okay, so can he do ghost change other than his two? Now, we haven't seen any sort of images from the show, and we really haven't heard any sort of, and judging by the sounds in the Mega Router, just defaulting it goes to anything that's not his three icons. Necrom, if you can kind of just work with me here. Close enough for now. Is he seems to hijack the icons in the Gombarizing. And what I mean by that is he'll keep this faceplate, and with these horns, you won't just get his like own little version of the horn. He just straight up steals the parkas. Now, this is Gombarizing that we've only seen this in, so nothing like truly official. But hey, I mean, it's stuff like Gombarizing, or Gombarite, I think it was at the time, that showed what Forze module changes would look like with the Legend Rider gimmick. So, hey, take what you can get. So, well, from what we've seen, he can use other parkas, and he'll just steal the faceplate to them. Now, one thing is clearly you'll be able to see the eye in there, but hey, he's hijacking the icon. Now, unlike the Tokon's an easy fix, but unlike the base forms of the other two, you know, he's not standing out like a sore thumb. In the shoulder department, like, it's clearly not looking, it doesn't clearly look like he's missing something. I imagine he might be missing some green in the shoulder. trying to see if I can get a quick little glance at the undersuit, and it doesn't look like there's a good one. Easily found. So you just have to take my word for it. It looks like these may be green, and I imagine it might. So now he can do it with all of them. Ghost would get out of the original 7 would get the blue horn. Spectre, obviously, he would get the 2 horns, and with anything Tokon boost related, he'd get the fiery horn. Now, one I'm going to show off for a reason we'll get into in a second is Houdini. Damashi, and here's what I was talking about. Like, he's supposed to have these up here, so that kind of works in Necrom's favor over there. So, for those of you who have seen the latest episode, or just maybe you haven't gotten a chance to, or have just been paying attention to the news about Ghost, you know, as soon as I show this off, and this is one of the few, the thing I'm doing with Necrom here is one of the few that have actually been shown off through Gomberizing. Come on, Houdini, I know you're the Escape King, but work with me a little here. Okay, why aren't you pegging in? Does your chest protrude a bit more? Is that what it is? Give me a second. I'm now curious if it was doing this on Spectre. Yep, I think Necrom's chest might protrude a little bit more. Weird. Does it? Although the body looks a little bit thicker. Looks a little bit bigger. Anyway. Yeah, because it's just not, for whatever reason. Yeah, it's colliding on something in his chest. So I think he might be a bit bigger in the chest region, but just enough to cause a problem. But too small to kind of be picked up by just looking at it. Now, like I said, this is one of the forms we've seen in Gomberizing is Houdini Necrom, or Necrom Houdini Damashi, and he does get Spectre's horns here. Now the more interesting thing, and for those of you who've watched my Necrom and Meg Router review, okay, we're clearly not giving you the backpack. Yeah, for some reason it does not want to stand with Necrom. So take this. Oh, I know what it might be. Because this is a little floaty. So as I was saying, for those of you who've seen that and paying attention to the news of Ghost, or watched the episode, or what have you, you know that this is a thing where Makoto, aka Kamen Rider Spectre, is under Necrom's control, where he becomes Kamen Rider Necrom Spectre, I believe is the name. Now this looks really cool in the toy. I'm going to be completely honest with you. In fact, if anything, I would be tempted to get a second Spectre figure just for this. But I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing. But, you know, you have all the articulation besides the obvious. Now, here's kind of what I was saying before. You can kind of see it. Now, because his shoulders are black, it doesn't really seem like they're standing out as much. So here you get some improvements. So I don't think this is going to be in the show for very long, but it is something you can do. So can I recommend Necrom? Yes, for a few reasons. One, he is a really good figure, and if you like the Ghost Change line, you're gonna really like Necrom. And I feel like Sanzo and Grim are some of the more unique designs, since they have a little bit more ornamental sort of designs going on, especially in like the upper torso, mostly like the shoulders and stuff. Recommend him just for the base body, but you get a little bit more fun out of it because you can display him in any form and it would work. So let's say you want to do this, you can do this. Let's say you want him to be in, I don't know, Goemon or Beethoven. You could, and technically, to my knowledge and to most people's knowledge at this point, that's what it would look like. So unlike having Spectre swap out with Ghost, like, here's the thing, right about now, this Spectre, well, just Spectre right now, and the base Ore clash with everything else after them, because he has 2 horns and everyone else has 1 horn, or he has the stipulation, and Tokan Boost is able to use the other 7 icons of his, although it may come up to haunt us with, Tutankhamen through Sanzo, if he will be using those in some capacity outside of the Ghost Driver G. But we don't know that yet. So as of right now, Necrom is one of the better figures to get the most out of the Ghost Change line, since everything will be show accurate. So, thank you guys for watching. Sorry this was a bit of a long video just because there was a little bit more to cover with this figure. Thank you guys. And let me know which is your favorite base figure so far. I'm kind of leaning towards him, just because the reasons I said. But I also dig Tokan Boost because he can use at least 10 parkas and it be show accurate. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.